tailoring for guests with special needs. In this lesson, we'll take a look at how to best serve guests with special needs, and how to adjust your service and communication. Remember that with any special needs guest, if you are unsure how to help the guest, simply ask them, rather than not helping at all. We'll be looking at guests with limited mobility, visually impaired guests, and guests with communication difficulties. Let's start by looking at guests with limited mobility. Whether the guest is in a wheelchair or on crutches, ensure that they are seated somewhere they can access easily, but at the same time not feel that they are in the way. It would be very inconvenient for the guest to constantly be knocked or bumped. Also ensure that guests with limited mobility are close to the restrooms and fire exits for their safety and convenience. Never ever move a guest in a wheelchair without asking permission first. This is incredibly rude. As with any other guest, always check up on these guests regularly to ensure that they have everything they need. Next, let's look at visually impaired guests. Once seated, try to keep the items on the table in the same place, while removing any items that won't be needed. Talk directly to the guest and offer to read them the menu and wine list. When delivering their dish to the table, offer to describe where the food is on the plate. For example, the meat is at 12 o'clock and the vegetables are at 3 o'clock. With foods that require heavier cutting, such as steak, offer to cut up the food for the guest. Now let's look at guests with communication difficulties. Some guests at your establishment may be hard of hearing, while others may be foreign and not speak the language well or at all. In this case, ensure that you speak clearly and directly to the guest. Use the simplest language possible. Always repeat orders and requests back to the guest slowly to ensure that you understood correctly and miscommunication is kept to a minimum. To summarize, in this lesson, we looked at adjusting service for guests with limited mobility, visually impaired guests, and guests with communication difficulties. Good luck providing excellent service to guests with special needs at your establishment.